Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. I'm recording this very late at night. Not trying to wake anyone up. We're on Haven. We are top tier. And we are in one of my favorite destroyers to play. That's right. The Tier 5 Premium Destroyer Anshan. It is a Gnevny class destroyer. Probably why I think it's a little overpowered at Tier 5. Despite balance, you can see there's a failed division in the other team. A Karlsruhe is in this match. And we are going to have kind of a standard Anshan match. We're going to play to our strengths, but in the end, we're going to be undone by one of our weaknesses. And, it just is what it is. Something to keep in mind, there is destroyers with detection capability at this tier. The Anshan is not one of them. You've got powerful guns, and I would say first and foremost, the Anshan is a gunboat. If you were looking for a destroyer that it's a lot like, I would say, for me, I consider it a higher tier Gremiashi, but we are using deep water torpedoes. I'm a firm believer in deep water torpedoes on the ship, simply because your guns are good enough to where you don't need regular torpedoes, and the range of the deep water torpedoes is something that makes them more desirable, at least in my opinion. All right, we see a Mackinson out there. We are going to launch here with the Mackinson. And I'm going to launch twice. And it seems like the whole red team came over here. As you can see, there's the Karlsruhe. But we just threw out those deep water torps. And now we're going to retreat tactically somewhat. And unfortunately for me, the Mackinson is going to dodge these torps. And nobody else came around the corner of the island to get hit by them. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right. We're not running away, but we're not necessarily hanging around. We're checking our reload time. We got about half a minute left. And there's an enemy destroyer in this cap, probably behind the island. Oh, pardon me. It's the Mackinson. Well, I guess we're just going to ask people to shoot at him. We start shooting. We also put up our smoke screen. And so I'm going to be able to shoot at Mackinson for a little bit. We do set him on fire. And we're going to get these torps out here in just a second. There's one set, and we're going to leave the rest for later. And that's a good thing I did that, because those were wasted. Because the Mackinson gets dev struck. And he shall go and sin no more. All right, there's the Karlsruhe, engaging him from the smoke screen with armor piercing. We take out a torpedo launcher, but this armor piercing isn't really doing it at range. I should have switched to HE, but I felt compelled to make a point that even on a lower tier ship, it's not penetrating and doing Citadel type damage. We knock out the other torpedo launcher. So while it's doing good stuff, I would recommend using he against any other ship. Now, if we were closer range, then yeah, stick with the AP. But I think it kind of proved, although we got lucky and knocked out his launchers, that the armor piercing didn't do what I had hoped it would do. All right, here's the Montecuccoli. We're still shooting armor piercing. He's going to give me the broadside. That salvo didn't do anything. That salvo 3 hits the Citadel, and he gets erased before we can finish him off. All right, so we got 2 helping hands. We inadvertently dodged some torps. And I feel pretty good about myself. Hung in there. Pardon me, it must be getting close to my bedtime. I'm having to mute the microphone so I can yawn. Well, it is about a half an hour before I normally go to sleep. So yeah, love the Anshan, big fan of the Anshan. If you haven't played it yet or you don't own it yet and you need a tier 5, I really recommend it. If you like Russian destroyers, it's a Russian destroyer with deep water torpedoes. Bottom line. And it's playing down a tier from its, I don't know, sister ship, mothership, the Gnevny. So, is the Gnevny a tier 6? I feel pretty confident Gnevny is a tier 6. That just tells you how long it's been since I've played Gnevny. Alright, Gnevny's a tier 5. Look at that, I lied. Anyway, so it's the same tier as Gnevny, but it still feels pretty powerful. The one weakness maybe being AA defense. Alright, we're going to beat a tactical retreat here and go over because I think the enemy destroyer is encroaching from the right side of the map. My teammates seem very puzzled by this. Like, come back, spot for us, why are you doing that? And it's just like, dude, you got to pay attention to the minimap. You know, our team got rolled up here. He's begging me to come help him out and turn around. And I'm just like, dude, no. There are 2 other cap circles, and you don't need my help on that side of the map. In fact, I probably need your help on this side of the map. All right, so there is Fubuki. We're just going to keep going full speed ahead. Fubuki is trying to run away. So we're going to check out these Sino-Russian guns. Is that the right way to say that? We are shooting HE because he is really far away. And we missed that salvo. I think we get him with one of those at least. 3, pardon me. And we are hit by some longer range fire. But it's important, I feel, for me to take out this destroyer, especially because he's so wounded. So we're going to continue into this smoke screen and try to finish off Fubuki. So yeah, definitely a big fan of the Anshan. Like to run it with the deep water torps. That's just me. If you run it with the regular torpedoes, I certainly wouldn't hold that against you. I just feel that this ship has the ability to stand up for itself as a gunboat, and you don't need regular torpedoes. The deep water torps have better range and better damage and greater concealment. So that's why I would use them. Alright, speaking of torpedoes, we're going to dodge one set, inadvertently dodge a second set. And there is Fubuki. You can see not optimized for super close range gunfighting. The turret traverse left a little bit to be desired, but we did manage to kill Fubuki. There is Hyuga, and we're going to try to set Hyuga on fire as we go around the side of the island. And are we successful? No, we are not. This is where you can get in trouble in the Anshan. Alright, we're going to keep messing with Hyuga. I have to go to WoW's builds now to find out for myself. Just something I'm thinking about here. Alright, so we're looking at the Anshan. Can you please? Thank you. By the way, the damage record set in June of 2025. 211,397. That is quite nice. My base XP record, which at one point was a record 2972, is been eclipsed by 3812 by Sammy 1983. So GG to you guys. I guess, is it going to give us the choice? It's not going to give us the choice of torpedoes, so I guess there's no reason to look at that. All right, so we torped out on Hyuga. And I'm hoping Hyuga keeps backing up into these torpedoes. I mean, we are beating the red team pretty handily at this point. thanks to some strong destroyer play. Oh, yeah, with my 25k damage, no caps, no base caps, and my torps all missed. So delightful. I see the airplanes from the carrier coming in here. And so we're going to put up a smoke screen. We're going to shoot and try to set Hyuga on fire. Working on sub 30-second reload for the main battery. We are moving in our smoke screen. We're still able to shoot at Hyuga, who is spotted. And then maybe the other ship that was spotting went behind my smoke screen. Or I don't know what happened, but now we can't spot him anymore. So we're going to wait until he has been seen. Meanwhile, off screen, our carrier gets taken out. We dodge some AG bombs inadvertently. And we are just waiting at this point to be detected by the onrushing Hyuga. Now I'm guessing he has HE loaded if he's smart. And I'm guessing he kind of knows where I am. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe before we get guaranteed spotted, maybe I need to move around and attack out of my rapidly disappearing smoke screen just to see if we can take him out without suffering a ton of damage. Meanwhile, there are only 2 ships left on the red team. So we come out of the smoke screen. There is Hyuga. We go 1 early and 1 right on the marker. And we're going to turn away to produce our signature. And we totally fuck up. The Hyuga Dev Strike, kill number 2. 6 torpedo strikes. We're up to 82,499 damage. All right, we're backing up off the island and we dodge torpedo bombers. Just the carrier is left. And I had big plans to come around the corner of the island, dead ahead of us, and take out the carrier with my armor piercing. We're shooting down a few airplanes here and there. So that's how you know your AA guns are working. I just had this great plan. And we're going to see if we can get it done here. All right, moving out. I want to say this destroyer doesn't have great AA. That's just my guess. All right. And so I thought he's dropping HE bombs. I need to go sideways so he won't be able to get a good bomb drop off. And did he get a good bomb drop off? I'm going to say not. But he wheeled around and he is going to line me up here. And I was under the impression that it was going to be a little more challenging than that for him. And basically it wasn't very challenging because he totally takes me out. So we were foiled by CNMF Kalinomad 714. Foiled in our attempt to take out the carrier. But all in all, I think it is a strong match by the Anshan. I don't know how much longer this is going to go on here. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Anshan. One of 29 Gnemini-class destroyers. Blah, blah, blah. Launch commission 1941. Doesn't say that it did anything in World War II. Bought by the People's Liberation Army Navy in 1955. The ship's Russian name was Rekordny, and renamed the Anshan, a name which has since been reused for another destroyer. Transferred along with 3 other Gnemini-class destroyers, along with other ships like submarines, minesweepers, and torpedo boats. 38 years serving in the PLAN, including visits by Deng Xiaoping and Zhou Enlai. Decommissioned in 1992 and later became a museum ship which maybe once upon a time you could visit, but right about now I would not recommend it. All right, the clock is ticking down. I think all of my teammates were way too far away to spot the carrier, and they are not going to take him out. So he's going to survive the match by hiding. All right. Here on the victory screen, devastating strike, 82,498 total damage, 72 main battery hits, 6 torpedo strikes. We shot down 6 airplanes, 2 kills, 2 fires, 3 hits to Citadel, 2 assisted kills, and 2 solo base caps. We ended up with 375,215 silver, 7,600 ship XP, and over 8,000 commander XP. Here we are at the top of the board, 1 medal, 2 kills, 2770 base XP, leading the way for our team. So yeah, if you need a good destroyer, the Anshan is a good destroyer. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I will see you next time, everybody.